Another day, another story. International Women's Day, IWD, is celebrated on March 8 every year. It is a global celebration of the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women, as well as a call to action for gender equality. The day has a rich history that spans more than a century. The origins of International Women's Day can be traced back to the early 1900s. In 1908, 15,000 women marched through the streets of New York City to demand better working conditions, higher pay, and the right to vote. The following year, the first National Women's Day was celebrated in the United States on February 28. In 1910, Clara Zetkin, a German socialist, proposed the idea of an International Women's Day at an international conference of working women in Copenhagen, Denmark. The proposal was met with unanimous approval, and the first International Women's Day was celebrated on March 19, 1911, in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. More than 1 million people attended rallies, demonstrations, and other events to demand women's rights, including the right to vote and hold public office. Over the next few years, International Women's Day was celebrated in many countries, and women's groups used the day to organize protests and events. During World War I, Russian women observed their first International Women's Day on February 23, 1917. They chose this day to protest against the war and to demand bread and peace. This event is considered a catalyst for the Russian Revolution, which began a few days later. In 1975, the United Nations officially recognized International Women's Day, and it has been celebrated globally ever since. Each year, a theme is chosen for the day, and events are held around the world to promote gender equality and women's rights. The themes have included equal rights, equal opportunities, progress for all, empower rural women, end poverty and hunger, and Planet 50 to 50 by 2030, step it up for gender equality. Today, International Women's Day is celebrated in many different ways around the world. Some countries, such as China, Russia, Vietnam, and Bulgaria, have declared it a national holiday. Many organizations, including the United Nations, hold events and conferences to mark the day, while others use the occasion to raise awareness about issues such as domestic violence, pay inequality, and discrimination against women. In recent years, the #MeToo movement and other campaigns have brought renewed attention to the ongoing struggle for women's rights and gender equality. International Women's Day remains an important day for raising awareness and advocating for women's rights around the world.